I'm in northern Kentucky, in Covington, Kentucky, and if you've been driving on I-75, I-71, you've probably seen this liquor sign. We're at Uncorked, and I've been given the task by Queen City Harley Davidson to start a bourbon collection or a bourbon tasting for under $250. So we're here at Uncorked. We're gonna check it out, see how many bottles we can walk away with, and get this bourbon party started. All right, we're in. The goal, $250 or less. Build a whiskey tasting or collection for your bar. First place we go to is right up the front, the bourbon aisle. They've got a great selection here at Uncorked. We go from the bottom shelf all the way to the top shelf. Detling from Alabama, Widow Jane, all the way through the top. But the goal was to stay under $250. So first stop, the bottom shelf. Now you may think bottom shelf means bad. There are some hidden gems like this J.W. Dant, but we're gonna go with basically its brother or its cousin, the J.T.S. Brown Bottle and Bond. Heaven Hill, it is very underrated, and the price, very good, $15.49. Used to be Kentucky only, not the case any longer. I've been able to find it in Illinois and in different states as well. Very underrated. It's got that old school looking label on it as well, so you know it's good. But yeah, so that's number one, $15.49. That means we've got about $235 to go. Probably need to get a cart, huh? So carts are back up front. And away we go. All right, so we've got a bottle and bond. Now let's look for a rye. And I know you might be saying you said a bourbon collection, but we're gonna do it with a whiskey collection here. We're looking for something that is different, that is going to help a bourbon drinker get into rye. We've got a lot of rye here on the shelf, whether that's Hard Truth, very good, probably my favorite rye out there right now. It just tastes like fall. It's got that caramel apple, you know those caramel apple suckers? It's got that flavor to it, but with a little bit of a kick. So their rye selection goes from this Redwood Empire, New Riff, all the way down. Old Pepper is a good one. But what I'm looking for, here we go again. We just went with Heaven and Hill, a bottle and bond. We're gonna go right back to them. Rittenhouse Rye. This is a bottle and bond, so it comes in at 100 and proof. And this is a good price, $24.48. I may say, maybe go with the old Overholt as well at $17.48, but this is a 4-year, whoopsies. And this is coming in at 86 proof. I want a little bit more proof because when we're building this, we also have to think about cocktails, and Rittenhouse Rye is a great old-fashioned rye, also a great Manhattan rye. So we're going with that. But we could have gone with the Bullet 95 Rye 12-year, but it's a little pricey for our budget today. We did do a review on that up there on the top right of your screen, so you might want to check that out if you're interested in that. Another go-to could have been the Elijah Craig Rye as well, or just the regular Bullet, but Rittenhouse. One last one I almost grabbed would have been this Green River. But speaking of Green River, we're gonna mix it up. We've got a bottle and bond bourbon, we've got a bottle and bond rye. Let's go with a wheated bourbon, because when we're building this out, we're going to try to get some diversity and some different stuff out there. We've already done a higher rye bourbon with this J.T.S. Brown. Excuse me, sir. We're going to run over. This doesn't want to stand up. I saw it here a minute ago. Green River wheated bourbon. So this is a great price if you're a fan of Weller, the green label Weller, which MSRP is around $26. This wheated bourbon is $31.97. It's a great alternative, and this is a great price. Anything from Green River is great, even their full proof. If you're looking for some higher proof at $41.98, that is great as well. So we're gonna go with the green wheated. Right above it, you may see Old Bardstown. This is a Kentucky only bottle. You're only gonna be able to find it here in Kentucky. So if you're visiting Kentucky, that's one of them. Another one up here somewhere is the Blueprint. This is also a Kentucky only bottle. We saw that on that 5-store bourbon hunt through Kentucky and Tennessee. Also top right of your screen if you want to check that out. So we got 3 bottles, 31, 28, 15. We're looking at $75 so far. We're trying to keep it under $250. I've got another high proof that we haven't tried yet. Everything's been under 100 proof so far, or at 100 proof. Let's up the ante in proof here. Some might say, let's go Wild Turkey 101. I love Wild Turkey 101. Also really love Russell's 10-year, both made by Wild Turkey. Russell's 10-year, unfortunately, the price continues to go up. I remember buying this for $29.99. Now the MSRP is at $40. They have it listed on sale for $5 less from $44.98. Good price there. That's probably one of the better prices outside of Costco that you're going to find here in Northern Kentucky. What I'm looking for is the OG, or the OGD. They've got it here on sale on the end. I think they've got it on the shelf as well. Yes, it's a step up, and this is the best price I've seen it outside of Costco here in Northern Kentucky. $21.97. This is 114 proof, and little known fact, the old man on it, a lot of people don't know that that is actually Basil Hayden, who was part of the Jim Beam heritage. And that's what Basil Hayden is named after. That guy. Best bang for your buck, really good, and it's cheaper than the bonded is by 2 cents. Usually it's vice versa. So we're going with Old Granddad 114 for $21.97. That means we're at $100 for 4 bottles, which in this day and age, very economical. So we've got that high proof. I want to go with a different high proof. Let's go out of state, because everything we have here is made in Kentucky. People think that bourbon can only be made in Kentucky. Not the truth. You can check that out in my video. The ABC's up there in the top right. America. That's it. So it's American made. That means it could be in Puerto Rico, it can be in Guam, because those are American owned provinces and areas. Out of state. First, let's start with Indiana. MGP, which is the old Seagram's plant. It's in Lawrenceburg, Indiana, just over the river, so it's not technically Kentucky. One of my favorites from them, Penelope. They just got bought out by Ross and Squibb, or Lux and Company. This is distilled in Lawrenceburg, Indiana. If you were to just walk down the row here and any liquor store, you're gonna find, if it says distilled in Lawrenceburg, Indiana, that's MGP whiskey. There's a lot of MGP whiskey out there for those bourbon newbies. That means that they are sourcing it from MGP, or in this case, they're contract distilling it. This is a different type of bourbon because it's a 4-grain bourbon instead of the general corn, rye, and malted barley, or corn, wheat, and malted barley. This has corn, wheat, rye, and malted barley. This is the lowest proof we've found so far, 80 proof, and that's as low as you can go. But this is a very delicious, and we got the last bottle, and it's affordable, $34.48. So if you're doing a bourbon tasting, 4-grain is going to have a little bit different kind of funk to it, a little different taste, and at 80 proof, what we're trying to do here is build a collection or a tasting that brings you a range of flavors and tastings. So we've got 5 bottles after $34.98. We're about halfway home. So let's see what else we can find, maybe out of state as well. Of course, you've got Bulleit. I love James E. Pepper, but this is Kentucky bourbon, and I'm assuming this is their MGP. Yep, see, another one, MGP Lawrenceburg. While James E. Pepper actually distills their own whiskey now, which is their Old Pepper Distillery and their James E. Pepper decanter. Beautiful, delicious. Also, another little known fact, the old James E. Pepper Distillery is actually the current day Woodford Reserve. Beautiful area, but hard times for the Pepper family. They had to sell it, yada, yada, yada. But that's Kentucky. What else can we find? We've got Tennessee Blue Note, but that's actually made by Green River. Ooh, hidden gem. It says a closeout sale. So there's only 2 of these left. We're going out of the state of Kentucky. We're going all the way to Colorado. Boulder Spirits, very underrated distillery. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, because we're gonna have a documentary coming from Boulder Spirits. The fine folks, Alistair and Ryan over there. $29.95. This is a bottle and bond. I guess I've been going on the bottle and bond train. So that's another thing, is we're also trying to keep, while we're trying to go on a wide variety, we're still close to the same proof on a lot of this. I do want to change that up and get another cask strength. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bottles, 30. Quick math tells me that we are currently at $165. It means we've got $80 to $85 to spare. Let's see what else we can find. I'm not going to push that because it's going to make too much noise, bopping, bopping, bopping. Jim Beam Black Label, you got single barrel, 1997. That would be a great proof. So if you're trying to stay under $250, you may go with that. But we've already got the Jim Beam with the 114 Old Granddad. Great selection there. Kentucky, Kentucky. This is also Kentucky, but moved all the way to Michigan. I thought I saw something out here earlier that piqued my interest. Yellowstone's good. Here we go. Chattanooga, Tennessee. Chattanooga, Tennessee. This is a Tennessee high malt bourbon, so it's still a bourbon, meaning it has more corn than any other ingredient at 51%. 111 proof. So this is going to be comparable to the Old Granddad 4248. So this is coming out of Tennessee, of course, which is not Kentucky, but $42.90. So $42.48. I really enjoy Chattanooga's Bottle and Bond. We already have too many Bottle and Bonds as it is, and they don't have it here at this store, but they've got an actually really great collection. We haven't even shown much of the top shelf. We're not showing the top shelf today because we're trying to stay on a budget, but we're balling on a budget today. But there's also really good stuff up here. If you're in the Northern Kentucky area, Uncorked, a really good spot, especially with all the sales tags that I see. And these aren't those kind of stores that throw out a sales tag on something and put it at the actual price and say that it was marked higher. These are actually pretty good prices in sales. Like the Russell's 10, right now most stores would have that at 45 to 50. They've got it for $39.97. So we're at 7 bottles. Let's get one more because I think we've got about $45 to $50 to work with. Let's go local. I'm in Northern Kentucky, so we're looking for anything Ohio or in Northern Kentucky that is cheap. Augusta, because that's expensive. Let's go New Riff. Let's see if they've got anything from New Riff. I've got the single barrel rye. We already have a rye. Let's go with a bourbon. Let's check out their single barrel selection. Down here, they've got different stuff. Angel's Envy, not bad. I don't think it's amazing. That would fit our budget today, but we're not going that route. We've got more Tennessee, which is Nelson's Greenbrier. This is Tennessee whiskey. Come on, folks. Tennessee whiskey is still bourbon. Don't fight me. We've got more Willet product. Rowan's Creek, Noah's Mill, Kentucky Vintage. Beautiful looking bottle. Not the best whiskey. I mean, it's cool, but don't open it. Dickel. We're gonna pass on the Dickel. Old Elk, love Old Elk, but again, we're trying to stay under budget and we're looking local. Here we go. New Riff, single barrel, $49.98. So this is probably gonna take us right up to our budget of $250. This is a single barrel coming in at 112.9 proof. That's actually one of the higher New Riff single barrels that I have seen. This single barrel over here is 108.1. Usually it's between 105 to 110 for New Riff. So a little bit higher. This is about a 4-year-old bottle. It says August 2018. Yeah, so we're gonna go with this. That's our 8th bottle. If we're doing the math here, I left the cart somewhere. That would be something you gotta keep an eye on, Brandon. So we got 8 bottles here today. I'd say that that's a pretty good start. If you told me that you're gonna walk into a liquor store and find 8 bottles under $250 that are all different in profile, but also quality, it'd be hard to do in this day and age, but it's still able to be done at $250, depending on the liquor store, depending on what you're looking for. Overall, a great selection here, Uncorked. We didn't even show you the allocated section, which is really cool. You see that over there. Here's their single barrel selection as well, which is also a great bang for your buck. Some good ones. They've got Rebel, they've got Backbone, which is underrated out of Indianapolis. Always love a Knob Creek single barrel. Yellowstone, handpicked. I think those are very underrated. Wenzel, this would have been a good one for local, but I'm assuming it's a little bit higher in price than that New Riff. And then you've got some tequila here on the other side. I see this Angel's Envy pick. So great selection. And behind over here, this is what looks like their rewards. Looks like it's a point system. So X amount of dollars you spend here, you get $1 per point. And that's where you'll be able to pick a Weller or an Eagle Rare or a Blanton's. I would probably points to the Russell's 15 or this one over here, the Old Fitz VVS. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button because we've got a VVS review up and coming from that Kentucky Bourbon Fest trip. Last but not least, another underrated bottle, $69.98, Knob Creek 12. Oh, we've got more over here. So Booker's, this is 2402. We did a review on that. You can check that out on the top right of your screen. I would pass on this year's 2402. Toasted Rye, Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. Overall, amazing selection here at Uncorked in Covington, Kentucky. It's literally just off the interstate. You see this big liquor sign, which has been there since the 1960s. So really cool spot. Got a couple other bottles over here. Russell's single barrel pick, good stuff. Double Oak Peerless. It's actually a really good price on the Double Oak at 90 bucks. Very good. Rhetoric. Oh my, look at this. This is really neat. The Rhetoric collection. So you've got that 20-year Rhetoric all the way to the 3,500. I think the average price for one of these bottles is about 500 bucks. So if you were to do the math, 6 times 5, quick math, 3,000. It comes with a fancy box too. So that's pretty cool. I've never seen that before. Rabbit Hole. Looks like they used to do so. Do not touch. American Revolution. Early times. This was distilled and bottled, 86 proof. Looks like a state of Indiana. Really cool. Right down the street from Revival Spirits. So come check these guys out. Uncorked in Kentucky. Let's go check out and see if we can make it under $250. All right. Time for the moment of truth.
Oh boy.
300. 500.
All right, we're at 166 through 4, but we're starting to get to the cheaper ones here. Did we do it? We're gonna be, my math wasn't that great, but still. It's up here on the neck. Oh!
Oh no!
It's okay. My math was fine at 255, so 270.62 out the door. Okay, so we went a little bit over our budget of 250, but by 20 bucks, I mean, you can't beat 8 different bottles for $270.62 out the door. I'd say we did a pretty good job. Now let's get up to Harley. Let's go do this bourbon tasting, and there you go. Those are 8 bottles to start your bourbon collection. We'll just change the category to under $300.